Hey everybody, my name is Tom, also known as Scary Spikes, and welcome to another Star Citizen video. In today's video, we'll be looking at Origin Jumpworks' answer to the luxury exploration segment, the 600i Explorer. Before we get started with that though, a very quick and special shout out to Lady Dark One. She's a relatively new member of our community and is very fun to be around, also happens to be very active on stream and happens to be a streamer herself. Lady, thank you so very much for supporting what I do and allowing me to continue to do this on a day-to-day basis, and for being a VIP Gold contributor. If you'd like to join us on stream, we stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern over on Twitch. And of course, we also have our Discord community, which we have lots of amazing people there that would love to meet, chat, and play with you. The links for both of those can be found in the description below. Finally, if you'd like to help support what I do, the best way is to grab some custom-made merch just for you over at sspgaming.com. Make sure to sign up for the newsletter so that you can get 10% off your very first purchase. With all those things out of the way, folks, let's go ahead and get started with this video. Okay, so similarly to my other videos that I've posted on other ships in the past, we're going to follow a very predictable walk around on the outside of the ship first, followed by an interior tour, followed by my recommendations of how you can kit the ship out, and of course the Urkel links will be in the description below, so make sure to go ahead and check those out. Very first thing we see is this humongous landing gear here, and as you can see, if I stand beside it, that really gives you some inclination of how large it actually is. This thing is large and in charge, and it doesn't do a good job at hiding it. But then again, it doesn't really need to be. It's an exploration vessel, namely a luxury exploration vessel, and so you want to have as much room as possible and make the comfort a #1 priority for crew and any passengers that might be on board. The very first thing that we can see here is just behind the first landing gear, we have the main ship elevator. The ship has two elevators, but only the front elevator that's going up now is the one that actually takes you out of the ship and brings you inside. The other one is just used to travel between both of the different levels in the ship. So there's the bottom deck and the top deck. We'll go into those into a little bit more detail once we do the interior view. Now, I'm not really sure what this is supposed to be here, but I imagine that this is probably something that was supposed to be a docking collar, and if any of you have any idea in the comments, please make sure to let me know. Moving around the side of the ship here, we can see some really cool things, namely one of the turrets here that we have, which in this case have been replaced by the CF557 Galdrine laser repeaters, and there's 3 of them on the ship. Again, more details on that later. We have this beautiful blue accent lighting, as well as this beautiful blue trim paint here on the side. It's sort of like a wing, but really I don't think it has any aerodynamic properties to it. It's important to note as well that inside this area up here, we have our missile base. So this thing comes with 16 Arrestor 3 missiles preloaded. Of course, you can change those to your liking, and there's 8 in each bay. If we can walk past here, we can see that we have the serial number of the ship, as well as the other 2 landing gear, which are equally as massive and beautiful as the front. And of course, looking towards the back of the ship here, this thing is quite huge. We have some red positional lights, as well as our main engines up here, including all of the exhaust vents required. And then moving around the port side of the ship, we notice that we actually have some beautiful lighting as well coming off. This is a very common theme here in the ship, this beautiful, beautiful LED blue strip lighting that is present. Now we also have the serial number available here on this side of the ship, and again, that beautiful blue strip lighting there, making that really nice glow on the visor of our helmet. Second Galdrine laser repeater there. By the way, if I didn't mention, these are size 5s. And then we have one at the very top, which is hard to see. And then, of course, this is where the name should be identical on the starboard side of the ship as well. So that's going to do it for the exterior tour of the ship. There's not a whole lot else to see down here, but let's go ahead and take this very generously sized elevator, which can fit an Ursa rover, up to the bottom deck of the ship, and we'll have a tour around the ship from the bottom to the top. We'll start from the back of the ship by making our way into sort of the back door here of the main cargo and ramp area. This is where we can see our second elevator. Moving closer towards the back, we have the crew quarters. So let's go all the way to the back and make our way from here to the forward section of the ship. Here, these are supposed to be armories. They don't look like they're in the game at the moment, but it is something that should be very similar to the type of armories that we see on the Origin 890 jump, where these doors open up and the armories simply pop out, allowing us to grab a quick weapon just in case we need to make a hasty retreat out of the ship. Now, fortunately, we cannot enter these right now, but these are supposed to be the escape pods, and we've got 4 here, as well as some more armories, and that is in line with the 4 beds that we have in the very open concept crew quarters available there. Now, this is our washrooms. We've got some storage up here, as well as some hooks, possibly for robes or even hangers, as well as a little bench and some ventilation down here, which is always quite nice. And even inside the washrooms, the bench areas are very, very comfortable looking. It looks like it's some kind of leather there, which is very nicely stitched together. I really do like the way it looks, and we've got a few more storage options here. Very similar to the first one that we saw, and again, one for each crew member, which is really quite nice. Now, this is interesting. There's 2 washrooms here, which, although it's just kind of nice to know that if you're going to be on this ship, that you don't need to wait to use the washroom, and I imagine because they both have what looks like a man on the outside of them, that these are probably unisex washrooms that can be used by either men or women. But that being said, it's just kind of weird that it just has the one symbol on it. I think that they should just remove that, since, just by looking at them, they do appear to be unisex. They're both exactly the same. They both have a toilet, as well as some towels here, some storage, and what looks like a shower, as well as a sink and a mirror and a soap dispenser and things like that. So they're all very much similar. I don't think that there's any actual differences between them, other than that they're mirrored in construction to one another. So they look to be identical, and even the number of towels appears to be identical. So that's really interesting. But that being said, let's go ahead and move out and look at sort of the forward section of the ship as well. Of course, we can see another really nice seating area there. And then very, very generous space here for the crew. So this is a very, very comfortable place. The only thing that I would love to have seen is perhaps some kind of curtain, maybe integrated into the side panel here, maybe to have like a little ridge running along the side panel here to at least give you a little bit of privacy, and also so that you don't disturb your fellow crewmates if you happen to be catching up on some late night TV before going to sleep. It's a really nice thing to have sort of so much space available here, but I feel like some of it is actually wasted. I really do wish, though, that there were some curtains here for privacy. I think that would be really quite nice. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward, and what you'll notice on the ship is a very recurring theme as well, is just the incredible attention to detail in all of the surface work on the ship. As we can see, this looks like some kind of granite or something with metal inside of it, and it just looks absolutely spectacular. All of the fit and finish on these Origin ships is absolutely immaculate and spectacular to look at. So that includes the doors here as well, which look like they're made out of some nice reinforced glass. Got some really nice touches here as well. The accents are really quite nice. Okay, so this is part of the cargo rack here. Now, these appear to be magnetic cargo holders, so you would have your cargo stacked vertically here, and unfortunately the Explorer doesn't carry too much cargo. I'll include more details in the description of the exact amounts, but I think it should be somewhere around 40 SCUs. It's not really a whole lot. There are also more cargo options available in some of the rooms in the engineering section of the ship, which we'll take a look at just a little bit later. All right, so going forward now and moving through the area that we ingressed into the ship there, you can see that we have our second elevator, and again, this elevator is the only one. It's the port side forward elevator, and will take you to both levels of the ship, as well as taking you outside of the ship by means of just dropping you down through the bottom there. Again, some really exceptional detail here. For privacy, I do like that this door is not glass, and it's actually just a proper door. So this is really great. And this is the captain's quarters. So as you can see here, really beautiful finishes. We have a nice leather stool here with a nice console. You can get some work done. And when you're ready to have a glass of wine or what have you, maybe smoke a cigar, go ahead and sit here and catch up on your logbook. Then when you're ready to retire for the evening, you can go ahead and climb into your luxurious king-size bed. Very nice, and offers a beautiful view here of all of the stars. Of course, here on Lathan on Ariel, it is very, very nice indeed. So let's go ahead and have a look around the other side of the room here as well. Got another staircase here. Now, I'm not sure if this is still the bed of death, so to speak. Remember in a previous patch that you were actually able to fall out of the ship by walking in these areas here. It doesn't look like that's the case now, but I could be wrong. And if you have your own experiences to share, please make sure to let us know. It does appear that we can kind of clip through the front glass a little bit, but other than that, it doesn't look like we can fall through the ship. So please let me know if you've had any experiences over there. We've got some really nice dead trees over here, because of course this is all glass and there's no way to actually water this stuff, but hey, it's 2951, who cares? Now we're walking into the ensuite washroom of the captain. We have some towel racks here, as well as a really nice sink, sort of an integrated sink, which I really like, into this sort of area over here. Again, it looks to be some kind of marble or stone or something like that. And it looks like the floor is also like a rubberized texture, which is really nice. Although I feel like maybe this, there should have been a break here for the rubber so that we can not slip on this on the way out to get changed or in to grab a shower or something like that. We've also got a few shelves here for some basic amenities and stuff. Looks like we got like a little radio here too, like a little Bluetooth speaker or something. So that's interesting. And then walking into here, we have a shower and toilet combo, which is really quite nice. Again, the finishing in here is really beautiful and sort of extravagant. So, and the lighting is also really quite nice and not too bright, but not too subtle as well. So that is the tour of the captain's quarters there. And then moving forward, we're going to be taking the elevator up to the top deck, and then we'll be making our way from the front of the ship to the aft of the ship. So let's go ahead and take this elevator here. And what I really wish they did is replace these texts here, because this text is really ugly and it's just kind of doesn't really fit into the aesthetic. I know they're probably just placeholders, but it would be really nice to see something a little bit nicer there. Okay, so the first place we're going to take a look at is the bridge. Again, we have a proper solid door there, and this is the bridge. So really, really cool. This is a very, very generous viewport here. As you can see, we have quite a lot of space here that we can see out of. And honestly, this is probably one of the best views that you're going to get from just about almost any spaceship in the game at the moment. It is absolutely wonderful. The fact that this ship is a little bit more sluggish and slow to turn and maneuver really makes it all that much nicer to have this much field of view, because then you don't have to do quite as much turning, which is quite nice. Oh, I digress. We can see that we have 3 seats here. We have a co-pilot seat, an assistant to the co-pilot seat as well, with their own MFD and terminal there. And then, of course, we have the captain's seat as well. So let's go ahead and have a seat in here. We'll get whisked up into the flying position, as we do in most Origin ships that are of this size or larger. And then we have a beautiful HUD. And again, you can see that the blue lighting is sort of very much a theme on the ship and extends to the actual HUD of the ship as well. As we can see here, we have a few virtual holographic displays. We have 2 on the left and 2 on the right, as well as a radar in the middle with a couple of sticks to actually fly the ship with. And of course, then we also have the beautiful HUD in the center. Let's go ahead and exit this seat and take a look at the rest of the ship. It's important to note too, before we get off the bridge here, that both of these seats here offer access to remote turrets, one on the aft of the ship and one at the sort of close to the front of the ship, and one is sort of towards the bottom, about midway down, and then the other one is towards the aft, which is in the back of the ship at the very top. So each of those has a pair of size 3 weapons, and it comes with distortion repeaters or distortion cannons. I'm not quite sure which one. I think it's the repeaters that it comes with, and you can change those out. So I would definitely put some different weapons on there, and again, more info a little bit later on. So these are the 3 escape pods here for the crew, and we can sort of get into these, but again, not really. They're not functional at the moment anyway. They do look really nice. They're very well padded, and looks like they have some different systems inside here, as well as like a nice little monitor, so maybe you can watch your favorite show as you're getting jettisoned out of your ship. Hopefully that never actually has to happen. If we move further towards the back of the ship, we can see that we have a few screens on the port and starboard side of the ship here, as well as a beautiful etched Origin logo on this glass panel here, atop which sits a beautiful globe course, unfortunately, this globe is visible through different parts of the ship, and I hope that this is something that they fix. And we have some of these beautiful glass doors that open up, again, with the Origin logo etched on them. And if we walk towards the back here, we can see that we have a pair of scanning seats. So once scanning becomes a more prominent feature in the game, this is something that is going to be available. They don't currently work. You can sit in them, but unfortunately, they don't really do much at the moment. So this is something to look forward to once exploration becomes a little bit more fleshed out. Walking towards the aft of the ship here, we can see that we have our secondary elevator. Again, this just connects the two levels, does not allow you to leave the ship. And then we have the armory in there. Again, this is supposed to be open. Oh, and these are actually fixed. Unbelievable. I can't even believe that that's actually there. That actually kind of took me by surprise. So that's really interesting. So it looks like that one works, but this one doesn't work. So it looks like the ship is very much in progress still. And from what I understand, there is going to be a gold standard update for this ship, very similar to what we saw on the Gladius. So I'm really excited to see what's going on there. No, it looks like this one opened up as well, so that's very nice. Looks like we just had like a little bit of a bug there, maybe a little bit of server lag. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like these work at the moment. Let me see if I can get a little closer. These do not work, and fortunately they are good. Okay, this is great. So there used to be doors here in an older version of this ship where they appeared to be closed doors, but you were actually able to walk through them, and you were actually able to leave the ship that way, which was actually kind of a scary way to leave the ship. But I'm really glad to see that we have some weapon racks here. So that is absolutely awesome for this video, because I can show you guys sort of the latest iteration of the ship and what's available. Although, still be on the lookout for that gold standard. I'm not sure when that update is coming, but I'm really looking forward to it, because this ship with a gold standard update is going to be absolutely fantastic. Right, so we come basically to the centerpiece of the ship now in this area here, which is sort of the bar area. And this is the sort of like the recreation area of the ship, with a few exceptions, and we'll go over that in just a second. But here we see these beautiful quilted stitched leather seats, the stools here in front of the bar. And of course, we have a lovely selection of different types of spirits to anyone's taste. And of course, we also have a bunch of other stuff available here, but then we also have a really gorgeous, what looks like granite countertop with some gold flaking inside of it. The materials here, again, really just speak volumes on the quality that you get when you buy an Origin ship. What's really cool too is that there's a bit of a glass floor here looking towards the bottom section. So that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and move on here down to one of the main areas. And this is really cool. And honestly, I think they've actually redone this table, because I do not remember this table having a blue outline on it, nor having the blue LED lights. I remember this table just actually having the granite surface on the top. So it's very well possible that this ship may have already received some of its gold standard updates. But let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you've heard anything about it or know when that's going to be released. Looking out the back here, we can see one of the other size 3 turrets, as well as a very, very big seating area. So this is obviously really nice for parties and having people there. And of course, if you like a little bit more of an intimate experience, then you can come down here. And this also looks brand new. I never remember there being any stairs here. So this is actually really, really nice. And I'm glad that I'm doing this video when I am. Although, to be honest, I may do another video on the 600 when the gold standard is released. But we'll go ahead and do that when the gold standard is actually finished. Looking at this, this also looks very different. If I'm not mistaken, these seats actually used to be white, and now they are also made of wood, which is really, really amazing. Looks like we have a beautiful little table there for your coffee or your drink from the bar upstairs. And this screen is also really nice looking. So that is pretty awesome. We're moving towards the back here. We do also have the pool table, and unfortunately, it doesn't look like you can play pool, but it does look like they actually added these pool cues. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe it's just that I haven't been on the ship for quite some time. Looks like they've really updated the lighting here. This looks like it's brand new, and this design over here looks like it's brand new as well. It actually looks absolutely stunning. And let's have a look around the other side here. Now, this is the kitchenette area. This doesn't look like it's been updated too much. Looks like we have a fridge there with some ice and water dispensing going on. And looks like we also have a watermelon and some fresh fruit over here. That is awesome. perhaps some refrigerated stuff down on the bottom. And again, this looks a little different because from what I remember, this was actually frosted glass before. Now it looks like it's clear. So again, correct me if I'm wrong. I might just be remembering things that didn't happen. But from what I remember, and I did spend quite a decent amount of time in my 600i, you know, several months ago, there were quite a bit of different changes as compared to now, or I guess I should say there were some recent changes that made it different. So this is nice. Again, a beautiful granite table here with 3 seats to have a seat and maybe have something to drink or something to eat. And then moving out this way, these doors. Ooh, that's interesting. I don't remember these doors being here either. Right, so this looks like the cargo room, which is pretty cool. Then there's another door over here. And this is one of the component rooms, and this does look very similar, but again, it looks like there's a few changes. This looks like some kind of door as well, and I wonder if you can open this. And it looks like you might be able to. Wow. Okay. This is a utility panel. That is really, really interesting. This has got to be brand new, folks, because I don't ever remember seeing this. Again, please let me know in the comment section if this is brand new to you or if it's something that you've seen before. This is really, really interesting. I don't ever remember seeing this. It's actually really nicely done. I never remember seeing these things on the floor either. Looks like there's some different electronics in there, as well as some awesome cables and a bunch of other stuff going through here, of course, with the Origin branding. And then these are, again, cargo racks. So these are the ones that we saw on the sort of sub deck of the ship, right around where we would store the vehicle. That's really interesting. And then moving towards the other side here, we can see that we have exactly the same thing on this side. And let's see if this room is any different. So very, very similar. Looks like a bit of a mirrored image. Although, that's interesting. So there's a control pad here, but these don't seem to want to open. So it definitely looks like this ship is getting some updates, and I'm really excited for that. And I'm sure you will be too if you're very fond of the Origin ships, especially the 600i. And then one of the things that I think I did notice a change in as well is that these were actually moved as well. I don't remember them being in the same area. I think these are actually in the same area. Maybe they just changed the look a little bit. But in any case, these are sort of the engineering and cargo rooms. And this is the only gripe that I have with the ship. I really feel like there should have been, these rooms should have been placed in a different area on the ship. But in any case, I digress. That is the beautiful 600i on the interior. I know that took a bit longer than expected. I wanted to give you guys a proper tour and show you all of the different changes that have been made to the ship thus far. I'm hoping that more changes are going to be made, and I guess we can just pay attention to CIG as those changes come in and the gold standard is applied, because this is definitely a ship that is very deserving of that. All right, so let's go ahead and return to the cockpit, or to the bridge here, so that I can fly us out of here. And then we'll go ahead and hop into the vehicle loadout manager and have a look at how I would spec this out. Again, make sure to check the links in the description to get all the information. I will include a link for the default loadout so you can sort of mess about, and also my loadout so that you can copy exactly what I have if that's something that you'd like to do. All right, we'll see you on the space station. Okay, finally, let's have a look at the recommended loadout for the ship. Again, this is a loadout that I use personally, and it really appeals to my gameplay. But again, it could be different for you. So I invite you to watch and mess around with it. The links will be in the description below, both for my loadout as well as the original stock loadout when you buy the ship, either in-game or with real money, if and when that becomes a thing. First thing you need to do is go ahead and head over to your vehicle loadout manager. This is going to be the second tab here at the bottom of your Mobi-Glass. Once you've done that, go ahead and select the 600i here from the list of ships, and then you'll be presented with this screen. You'll see some information about your selections down here, a hologram of the ship itself, some components in the category of components, and then of course your category view here. And of course you'll see a few tabs: MISC, propulsion, systems, weaponry, and paint. And if you'd like any information about how these different components are classified and what they all mean, there's going to be a link in the top right hand corner of the video now so that you can get an understanding of ship components and what they do and what all the different classes and grades mean. And then once you've watched that, feel free to come back here so that you can understand a little bit more about how we're going to get this thing out. So first and foremost, we're going to start with propulsion. That's usually where we start, and then we kind of head back to the MISC page at the very end. So the very first thing that we'll be looking at is the quantum drive. Now for the quantum drive here, I went with the XL1. I think that this is more than sufficient. It's honestly a size 2 quantum drive. It would be nice to have a size 3 one, but I digress. It's okay. This is enough for us. Very quick one, and I think despite the fact that it takes quite a lot of fuel, this is an exploration ship, and at least in the Stanton system, you're really not going to be spending all that much fuel, and you'll have plenty to go around, so the XL1 is overall the best choice. If you are looking for something that's a little bit more fuel efficient and just a little bit slower, not by a whole much, then the Crossfield is quite good for traveling longer distances. And then also, if you're looking for something that is very quick, and has really good acceleration, but it's only decent to use within smaller areas like subsystems, for example, traveling between Hurston and its moons, or Crusader and its moons, and so on, then the Spicule is actually the best one to go with. So this is often the best one to go with when you're bounty hunting. And yes, I did a video on that too, so make sure to click in the top right hand corner to check that out if you enjoy bounty hunting. But I digress. So the XL1 is the one that we're going to pick here, and we're going to move on to the systems page. Now on the systems page, of course, we'll have our coolers, our power plants, and our shield generators, and we have one of each, and each of these are size 3 on the 600 series of ships. So the first one we're going to be looking at is the Blizzard. That is the size 3, and it's a grade A military class component. Honestly, the Blizzards are fantastic. I use them for just about any ship that can equip them, and I've had no issues there. You may find maybe a little bit more cooling in an industrial grade A component. The problem with that is they're usually quite a bit more expensive, and so I usually opt to go with the military class here with grade A. Tends to do a sufficient job for me. Again, your mileage may vary. Moving on to the power plant here, we have the JS500. Again, if you've watched any of my previous videos, you know that I am a huge fan of the JS500. Basically the entire JS series. So 300 for the size 1, 400 for the size 2, 500 for the size 3, and of course eventually maybe the 600 for the size 4. So we'll see what happens there. Size 4, of course, we don't know, being the capital size of components. Currently the only ship using those sizes is the 890 Jump. So but the JS500 is more than good enough for this situation. Then moving on for the shield, again, this is going to be a size 3 shield. The original one is a Stronghold, and it's actually pretty good. It's got a good namesake there. It is strong, and it does hold very well, but I do actually prefer the parapet here myself. The shield pool is one of the highest in the game for this size of shield, which of course size 3, grade 1, or grade A in this case. I don't know, this grading system is just kind of redundant, but in any case, we're gonna just avoid the grade 1 here, and we're gonna call it grade A because that's what it says there. And of course, this is an industrial shield. So you'll notice that some of the industrial stuff can be a little bit better, but it tends to be quite a bit more expensive. So if you don't have the money for a parapet, then I would actually recommend sticking with the Stronghold because it is a sufficiently good shield and it'll get the job done. That being said, we'll move on to the weaponry, and there's quite a lot of stuff here. So you have a really nice selection of the MSD 543 missile racks, and of course, you should have 4 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and that makes a total of 16 size 3 missiles on this by default, which are the Arrestor 3 cross-section missiles. Good missiles, but we'll get into that a bit later, okay? Alright, so for these, I would definitely keep these as size 3, as I think this is definitely not the kind of ship that you want to be sort of, doing a lot of fighting in. Although, that being said, it is one of the best ships for PvE bounty hunting because, honestly, the AI is still dumb as rocks and they come at you in a straight line, and when you've got 3 size 5 guns on that, and then you also have 16 size 3 missiles, it becomes exceptionally easy to dispatch your enemies without breaking a sweat. That being said, you want to stick with the 543s here. Of course, if you want, you can also go up to a size 5. So you can have up to 4 of the size 5s, or you can have up to 8 of the size 2s, and then the 16 of the size 3s, and possibly even 32 of the size 2s if you really want that. That's a pretty absurd amount of missiles for an exploration ship. But the thing that you got to keep in mind though is that the size 2 missiles, they are definitely a lot more restricted with respect to launch range and tracking range, so you can only really let them go within 3 kilometers of your target. And when you're a slow moving target, that's not that bad. But when you're fighting things that are a lot faster than you, like a Gladius or an Arrow or maybe a Talon, these things might not be as effective. So you pretty much have to start locking them almost immediately with the enemy being in range there. Otherwise, you'll just not have enough time to get them off, especially with things like lag and desync and server issues that are very common. So I would definitely recommend the size 3s, as the 543s here give you a sufficient number of size 3 missiles. And the size 3 missiles you can actually lock within about 10 kilometers, and they're safe to fire within about 7.5. So you definitely give yourself a lot more room to work with. And especially the fact that you can launch 4 at a time, you can still do a sufficient amount of damage to most targets. Okay, so that's enough about that. We're going to go ahead and move on. So the main weapons on here are 3 size 5 weapons, and you can see them up here. There's going to be one on the side here, one on the other side here, and then we'll have one on the very top there. Now these are size 5 weapons, and they do come with the bearing weapons to begin with, so I'll show you what those look like. Let me see, where are they? Should be the only bearing here. There we go. So they come with the M5A cannons, or I'm so sorry, looking at the wrong one here. They should be coming with the M7A. There we go. Okay, so this is what they come with by default from bearing. They're okay. You know, if you can't afford to upgrade these right away, you should still be okay, but they are fairly slow firing. I would very much recommend that you upgrade to the Klausen-Werner CF557 Galdrian laser repeater. These things are absolutely fantastic. They have a superb fire rate. They do tons of damage. They have exceptionally long range, especially when you've got forward momentum. And I would very, very highly recommend these for that. Of course, if you would like to, you can also go ahead and put a gimbal on it if you happen to have any, like I have here. And then if you want to do that, then you can have size 4 weapons. In this case, I would recommend the Klausen-Werner CF447 Rhino laser repeater. And then you can have them still very potent weapons up to about 4.5 kilometers range or so, a little bit more if you're moving forward. And these will then help to track your target with a little bit of aim assist. In my opinion, the range on the size 5s is so good that you really don't need to do any of that. Plus, you've got 2 gunners that can take care of smaller targets with the size 3 turrets if things do get too close to you. And also, if you do end up taking a bit of a beating, well, you won't really be taking a beating because your shield is going to be able to take that beating, so you are going to be good to go there. Right, and then of course we also have another turret weapon down here. I'm going to go ahead and put one of my favorite guns in here, which is going to be the CF337 laser repeater, if I can only find it. All right, there we go. And I should say here that the FL33 cannon is actually quite decent, but the range on it is quite slow, and the fire rate is also slow. So I would just be wary of that. And it is a laser cannon, so you won't be running out of ammo. But again, just be wary of that. So that being said, we have the CF337 laser repeaters on the smaller weapons, the CF557 laser repeaters on the bigger weapons, and again the CF337s on the smaller weapons. If you'd like, what you can also do is you can leave these with the default weapons that they come with, which are the distortion repeaters, if I'm not mistaken, which I believe are these, the XJ3s, and they're pretty good too, although it definitely becomes a lot harder to maneuver with a ship of this size. So if you're thinking about, you know, having a target getting too close to you being pelted with basically anti-shield munitions like these kinds of weapons do, and then, you know, just maneuvering around to hit them with your size 5s, which are fixed, you might end up running into some issues there, because of course to aim size 5 weapons that are fixed, or any fixed weapons for that matter, you need to aim the ship. Ideally not that fast. But that's the only problem there. So for that reason, I would recommend the CF337s. I think they are fantastic. They also have great range, about 3.2 to 3.4 kilometers, and they do sufficiently good job. For the paints, unfortunately, I have not spent $25,000 on the game yet. But if you do, then you will have the gold and gray livery available to you there, the executive edition, as it's called. Okay, let's quickly have a look at the missile loadout here for this, and then we will be done. So this does come with the Arrestor 3 missiles. Arrestor 3s are pretty good. They are cross-section and they do a pretty good job. They lock pretty quickly and they have a good range, about the same as the Thunderbolts, 10 kilometers to lock and about 7.5 to fire. Accurately, at least. But I digress here. It looks like the Thunderbolt 3s are the ones that I went with, and yeah, these are the ones that I would recommend, and there's a good reason for that. The Thunderbolts are EM, so that means that they can have a little bit of more difficulty tracking if the target's EM isn't particularly high, but the good thing is that they are proximity missiles, so even if the tracking isn't perfect, then they don't get a direct hit, unlike the Arrestors, which will basically fly right past the target. These things, if they're close enough, because they are proximity and not a strike missile, they will explode and hopefully deal some damage, which will be less of a waste than just completely losing a missile that ends up doing a 180 and then just completely missing the target again because reasons. I'm looking forward to the new missile changes, by the way, coming in the future, so hopefully we'll hear some more from CIG about that. But anyway, that concludes this video, and I hope that you all enjoyed it and liked it. And if it was any help to you, please make sure to let me know by leaving a like. Of course, remember to subscribe if you're new and ring that bell so that you never miss a video in the future, as I post videos once every week. Also, make sure to become a YouTube channel member or a subscriber over on Twitch. Doing those and linking your respective accounts with our Discord account gives you tons of amazing Discord privileges, perks, and benefits. You can go on and use the link in the description down below to join our Discord server and go into the welcome channel to get all the lowdown on all the awesome perks and benefits that you can get as a channel member or as a subscriber. And that is, of course, subscribing on Twitch or being a channel member here on YouTube. In any case, whichever way you choose to support me, thank you so very much for watching. I hope this video was helpful, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now. Oh yeah, also make sure to join us on stream Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern on Twitch. Links below. Bye!